Welcome to Preparing for the Unexpected. Today, I'd like to welcome Mark Hoffman from NSS Consulting and the Resilience Journey podcast. Mark, welcome to the show once again. Great to see you.
Yes, great to see you too, Alex. Thanks for having me.
Well, today we're going to have a different kind of discussion, something you and I haven't touched on before over either one of our podcasts, actually. And that is to kind of talk about a white elephant that's in the room right now. And that's the political environment that's having an impact on our resilience industry, our people, our businesses, our communities. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, wow. Actually, the most recent episode of the Resilient Journey podcast, I was joined by Regina Phelps, and we talked about Mark Carney's speech in Davos, and why geopolitical events globally matter to us in resilience. Then I had the opportunity to speak with Chloe Demrovsky. That was the next episode. And we talked about Greenland and why all of that matters. And then, of course, we have everything going on in Minneapolis with ICE, and all of that matters. So, I mean, where do we start? Oh, there's other things here too. So let's start here. Let's go back with Minneapolis. Of course, everybody's talking about the two shootings by ICE officials of American citizens in the street, as they should be. Uh, I was watching TV. I have a TV in my office because I need to stay up on global affairs, world events, everything that's going on. So it's often on and it's on mute. And so I was watching a story about Minneapolis and ICE and the protests that were there. And I was like, wow, this is really, there's a lot going on. And I turned away. I was working on something over here. And I turned back and look, and they have another image of a protest. And I was like, man, this thing has really gotten out of control. Like, I couldn't believe the size of the protest. Unfortunately, the second protest was in Iran. And that was a stark reminder to me. It just jumped out at me that at that moment in time, watching news events, I couldn't tell the difference between the United States and Iran because the activity on the streets was the same. Now, look, you might not know this about me. I'm originally from New Jersey. I moved to Canada about 20 years ago. I'm now a Canadian citizen. I have dual citizenship. I don't recognize my country. It is absolutely out of control. And one of the things that is most disturbing to me in the resilience industry is, we deal with misinformation and disinformation all the time. Misinformation is unknowingly passing along something that's not true. Disinformation is when you know it's not true and you say it anyhow. And there was an attorney in Minnesota who was arrested. Her name is Nakima Levy Armstrong, and she was arrested because she disrupted a church service. And there was a picture of her that was posted. Um, I think it was posted by Homeland Security. And in that picture, she's stoic and she's being walked out in handcuffs. And then just a few minutes later, the White House posted the same picture, but it was doctored. It was modified. It showed her as weeping and sobbing and crying and weak. And it's a clear case of disinformation, and it's troubling. Now, the White House got away with it because they called it a meme. Filtering some words I probably shouldn't say on your podcast right now. But look, you can't have that. If As organizations, we have to often deal with mis and disinformation. But when it's coming from what's supposed to be a trusted source, I mean, that just takes anarchy to a whole new level.
Yeah, and it makes it harder for organizations and communities to plan for upcoming events. It keeps people away from events that are planned. Then it gives doubt, starts sowing doubt for your business partners. Oh,
Yeah,
your company headquartered in, well, the capital of U.S. is Washington, D.C. So we'll say you're headquartered in Washington, D.C. Can I even trust you? Meanwhile, it may have nothing to do with your partner has nothing to do with politics in Washington, but because you're based there, I'm not sure if I can trust you. And now that starts to have a ripple effect into your supply chains, your negotiations for contracts in different places, and how you look at
100%.
people that are out there and other businesses that are out there.
So there's so many things here. There's so many levels or layers to this onion that we could un that we could peel back. Uh, so let's start with trade. Uh, Tariffs left, right, and center. They're getting thrown around like candy. There are businesses within the US who may not do business with a supplier from Canada or from another country with a high tariff because of the tariff charge. But the other side of that is there are businesses in other countries who now won't buy goods from American companies because of the politics of it, because of the geopolitical climate. I'm familiar with people who work for a company in Sweden that is owned by an American company. And they said if Trump invades Greenland, they quit. They don't want to be associated with an American company. These things matter. Taking it back to Minneapolis, speaking with a client yesterday who has a bunch of retail outlets in Minneapolis. And I said to them, has the civil unrest in Minneapolis disrupted the delivery of goods to your stores? I mean, these are things that we have to think about. And so, I mean, it is naive for us in the resilience industry to think, oh man, these guys are just talking about politics. I don't want to be part of it. I'm sorry, you have to be part of it because the geopolitical climate, at the very least, indirectly affects your company, but could absolutely directly have impact on your operations and on your people and on your bottom line.
Yes, most definitely the people part there because there is a divide being created.
Mm,
And now organizations are going to have a staff base and a leadership base that are going to be politically divided. So that's going to make it difficult to make tactical and strategic decisions to move forward. Somebody is not going to, we'll use resilience as the example. Somebody on one side, yes, we need to be resilient. We need to look at all these different things. And someone else is, oh, you're just crying wolf. That's just stupid.
right.
The sky is falling. Chicken Little. That's what I was thinking of. Sorry. Chicken
Yeah.
Little. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. You know, and then the decisions that get made as a result of those opposing views aren't going to be good for the company, the leadership, employees, partners, investors, other stakeholders. It has a ripple effect.
Right.
As I mentioned on a podcast the other day, it may not impact you at this very moment, but it will because it's spreading and it's growing. It's like
You're right.
a
And
drop of water
I'll
in the
give an
ocean
example
and
that
it
doesn't.
ripples.
You're 100% right. And I'm sorry to step on you there at the end.
Yeah.
That's my bad. I'll give you an example that doesn't involve the United States. In Poland, I have a client in Poland. We are seeing a lot of hybrid warfare. What does that mean? Well, it means Russian drones are flying into Polish airspace. It means a higher level of cyber attacks on key infrastructures like water plants and sewage plants and hospitals. We've seen sabotage of gas pipelines and railroad tracks. And, you know, these things affect businesses in the area. I have a production plant in northern Poland, not going to be able to run if they don't have any heat, not going to be able to run if they don't have water and power. And so when I mentioned it to the leadership team, I got exactly what you were talking about a couple of minutes ago when you said, oh, we don't need to overreact. Let's not panic. Hold on a second. Resilience people, if you take nothing away but this, bringing a concern to the leadership team is not panic. Now, we have to be careful how we frame it. We certainly can't go into that conversation in a panicked tone. But when you see a risk or a threat and it's growing and it is right there on the doorstep, you have to raise it. And if people say, listen, we're not going to panic. No, 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 I agree with you. We're not panicking, but we would be ill-advised to ignore it. We cannot ignore it. We have to be prepared.
Right. That because that's what your enterprise risk management group is doing. But and they may only be focusing on a certain subset of risks or a certain focus on those risks. They're
Right.
aligning them to the strategy. Resilience people are looking at some of those things that can derail your strategy. So we have to bring those forward and we have to work together with these groups.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Mark, any final thoughts on this political environment that resilience professionals we have to deal with and look at right now?
Yes. Um, I would say it this way. We can no longer treat resilience like we did pre-COVID. People talk about COVID as sort of the turning point and, oh, we got to look at it differently. Yes. But now, on top of that, add the geopolitical pressures that are there. And you have to look at ways that these things could have impact on your organization. Now, can we eliminate the risk? No. But we can mitigate its impact by looking strategically at different things, whether that's looking at different suppliers in areas where there aren't tariffs, or how about having a policy in your organization that just encourages the cohesiveness of the team, putting the company first above politics, trying to build, that type of culture. But whatever it is, and whatever country you're watching this from, look at it in your own backyard and figure out, wow, what kind of impact could this have on our organization, on our bottom line, on the things that matter most to this company, and start looking at ways to mitigate it.
Perfect way to end the episode. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Alex. Good stuff.